You've probably heard the rumors. Fast food burgers that don't rot after weeks, months, even years. Sounds like a science experiment gone wrong, right? But what if the truth behind this fast food mystery isn't about scary chemicals at all? Today, we're unwrapping the crispy, slightly unsettling truth about why some burgers seem to last forever, without turning green. Spoiler: the answer might be sitting in your own kitchen, the burger that wouldn't die. Let's talk about the burger that refuses to grow old. Someone buys a cheeseburger, forgets it in a coat pocket, and finds it 2 years later, completely intact. No mold, no smell, just a slightly dried out patty and a suspiciously preserved bun. Sounds like an urban legend, right? Except it's not. These kinds of stories have popped up for years. People showcasing decade-old burgers that still look pretty normal, posting side-by-side comparisons of a fresh one and one they claim has been sitting on a shelf since smartphones were new. One person even tried to sell theirs online as a piece of undying history. Another wanted to use it to teach their grandkids a lesson about fast food, educational value, or performance art. Hard to say, but what really gets people talking isn't the age of the burger. It's the fact that it doesn't seem to rot. And of course, that sparks the question: what's in it? Why doesn't it break down like any other food? People assume preservatives, chemicals, or secret ingredients straight out of a sci-fi lab. But is that actually the case? Turns out the real answer isn't hiding in a test tube. It's hiding in the science of spoilage. Why food rots, and why some foods don't. Here's the thing. All food spoils eventually. That's just nature doing its thing. Mold, bacteria, yeasts, and enzymes all play a role in turning fresh food into something much less appetizing. But they don't work alone. They need the right environment to thrive. And spoiler alert, the two biggest ingredients in food rot? Moisture and air. That's it. You give mold a damp, cozy home, and it's going to throw a party. That's why fruits go fuzzy, bread turns green, and your leftovers start smelling like regret. Now think about a thin, well-cooked burger and bun. The patty is cooked at high temperatures, often on both sides, which drives out a lot of its moisture. The bun? Usually toasted, dry, and on the smaller side. You've got low water content, limited air exposure, and maybe even a warm, dry room. That's not a party. That's a mold ghost town. And if the burger dries out faster than it can rot? It doesn't get slimy. It just becomes, well, stale. Like a meat crouton. Which means the burger's not preserved by chemicals. It's preserved by dehydration. Still, not all burgers are built the same. Next, we'll look at why some rot normally, and others become weird little time capsules. The burger jar experiments. So if dehydration is the secret, why do some burgers rot like normal, growing mold and turning into science projects, while others sit pretty for weeks or years? Turns out it's all about how they're stored. A popular video experiment once placed burgers from various places into glass jars for 30 days. Most of them developed mold within a week. Fuzzy buns, wilted lettuce, slimy patties. But one stood out. Still intact, no visible decay, just slightly dried out. That single burger didn't rot, because it dried out first. Food scientists have backed this up with their own side-by-side tests. When a burger, any burger, is stored in a dry, open-air environment, it loses moisture fast. And if it dries out before bacteria or mold can take hold, that's game over for spoilage. But when you store the same burger in a plastic bag, sealed container, or even just a humid room, suddenly it does rot. Mold appears, smells develop, the magic vanishes. So the burger isn't immortal, it's just really good at drying out when the conditions are right. But even if it's not rotting, would you still eat a burger that's been sitting out for weeks? Let's talk about what safe to eat really means next. Just because it didn't rot doesn't mean you should eat it. Okay, so the burger hasn't molded, hasn't gone green, and hasn't collapsed into goo. But does that mean it's safe to eat? Short answer: nope. The absence of mold doesn't mean bacteria aren't around. It just means the environment wasn't quite right for visible spoilage. Bacteria that cause food poisoning don't always leave clues. You won't always see fuzz or smell something awful, but your stomach will definitely let you know you made a mistake. According to food safety guidelines, cooked ground meat left at room temperature for more than 2 hours enters the danger zone. That's the window where pathogens thrive, especially if there's even a little residual moisture left inside. Even if the burger looks the same after a week or two, its internal chemistry has changed. The texture's dry, the flavor's off, and any sauces or veggies, if they were left on, are likely long past their safe limit. And while a dehydrated burger might last for years as a strange trophy or science prop, you definitely don't want to eat it. The real takeaway here: it's not about preservatives. It's not about chemicals. It's just about science. And the deeper you go into food science, the stranger things get. Next up, how the myths got started, and why they refuse to die. The myth that wouldn't rot either. If you've been online in the past decade, you've probably seen some version of the burger that never decays story. A viral photo, a Reddit thread, maybe a video with dramatic music showing a side-by-side of a fresh burger and a year-old one that looks suspiciously similar. Cue the internet panic. People started assuming these burgers were packed with chemicals, artificial preservatives, or some kind of mysterious anti-rot compound that defied nature. Add in a few headlines about burgers lasting 14 years, and suddenly it wasn't just a curiosity, it was a scandal. But here's the twist. None of those claims held up under actual testing. In fact, when scientists and food experts took a closer look, they found that these burgers weren't any more preserved than a slice of dry toast. They weren't invincible. They were just dry. Still, the myth stuck. Why? Because it sounds wild. It's easier to believe there's some secret lab ingredient behind it than to accept that a very small dry burger left in the open air will just turn into a crouton. Even when fast food chains stepped in to explain the science, the rumors didn't stop. Once an idea like that takes root online, it's surprisingly hard to kill. Kind of like the burger itself, right? But here's the real question. What does this all mean for the food we eat today? And are there other everyday foods hiding similar secrets? Not just one burger. What about the rest? Alright, so we've cracked the case of the immortal burger. But here's the plot twist. It's not the only one. Over the years, curious eaters and internet scientists have run similar tests on burgers from other places. The results? Kind of a mixed bag. Some burgers turned into fuzzy science experiments after just a week. Mold on the tomato, green spots on the bun, that very specific smell of "do not eat this." Others dried out just like the infamous burger we've been talking about. No mold, no rot, just a leathery husk of its former self. So what's the difference? It usually comes down to a few key things: the size of the patty, the amount of moisture in the ingredients, and how the burger is stored. A thick patty with lettuce, tomato, pickles, and mayo. That's a moisture party. Mold's going to show up fast. But a small burger with dry toppings and no sealed packaging? That's just jerky waiting to happen. Even the bun plays a role. A dense, toasted bun will dry out quickly. A softer, enriched bun with higher moisture might stay squishy and invite mold to crash the party. So no, it's not just one fast food chain. Any burger with the right combo of low moisture and airflow can become an honorary mummy. But let's flip it around for a second. If a dried-out burger doesn't rot, is it technically preserved? And if so, is that gross or kind of genius? So here's the truth. The reason some burgers don't rot isn't because of mystery chemicals or food industry secrets. It's because they're small, dry, and cooked in a way that pulls out moisture fast. No moisture means no mold. It's less Frankenstein and more food physics. Is it weird? Definitely. Gross? Maybe a little. But it's not unnatural, it's just dry. So the next time you see a photo of a years-old burger that looks a little too fresh, you'll know what's really going on. No preservatives, no dark magic, just dehydration doing its thing. But now that we've tackled this myth, what other food rumors should we dig into next? Because let's be honest, if a burger can last for years on a shelf, what else in your kitchen might be hiding a secret?